Hello, hello.
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 It's a bit mad, isn't it? People want to see your studio, man. People are looking forward to it.
Maybe I should have brushed my hair. Hang on. Do I look all right now?
You look beautiful.
Very glamorous. Well, welcome, everyone. Nice to see you again. Nice to see so many people kind of knitting away or crocheting or spinning. Really, the main kind of star of this Zoom is obviously Becci and Markus of RiverKnits. And they're going to give us a studio tour, which I am super excited about. Yeah, I think your open weekend a couple of years ago was one of the last things that happened pre kind of pandemic, pre-lockdown.
Yeah.
That's super exciting. And I will just say as well that Becci and Markus have dyed these two amazing colours for us on our new Appledore base. Snap.
Snap.
And without further ado, I'll let you take it away.
Oh, thank you for a lovely introduction. I'm very glad you said that it would be super informal because we haven't strictly planned for this. We will give you a tour. Markus is primed and ready to do some dyeing. We've got just some of our regular colourways in the pots as I speak. So he will just work on that and you'll be able to see what happens. I suppose I should start by saying a little bit about us. If you don't know us already, we're a little indie yarn company, indie dyers based in Northamptonshire, which is right in the middle of England. We love wool. We love all the British breeds and the heritage of wool that we have in this country. So that's what we dye is British wool that's spun in Britain. We love working with John Arvin Textiles because their ethos is very close to ours. We stock some of their yarns and we've done a few collaborations now. It's absolutely delightful to be here again.
Right.
Doing another one with Appledore. Well, do you want to go and get yourself
Nope.
go and dye some yarn?
Nah, tomorrow.
Go and dye some yarn.
It's the weekend.
And I will first of all just show you around our space where we work. Yes. Okay. So now I can take you all on a little wander with me. Can you still hear me okay?
Yeah.
Cool. So what I'm going to do first is take you outside just so you can get a look at the site where we are. So we're based in a place called the Royal Ordnance Depot and it's in a little village called Wiedenbeck in Northamptonshire. We really like this site because we actually live on a narrowboat and you can't really see, but there is a canal running right down the centre of this site, which has been here for over 200 years. The canal in the middle isn't connected to the main line anymore, but the main line is a short walk from here. And these are all storehouses built for storing military uniforms and munitions and things like that. It's privately owned now and it's rented out to folk like us and all sorts of other businesses. I love this marvellous chimney here. So now I'll take you into our unit. So we've really got more space than we know what to do with.
We'd love that here, wouldn't we?
So this part is what we call the Great Hall in a grandiose sort of way, but I mean it's pretty big. And yeah, the windows are fantastic. The amount of natural light we get in here is really, really nice. Okay, so you can see these big dye pots here. That's for some stuff that we do. These racks here are our drying racks. There's actually not a lot on there at the moment because it's been really warm, so the wool's drying really quickly. There's Markus working away there, but I'll come back to him in a moment. I'll just show you something that we really like. This is just a bit of a dumping ground at the moment, but we've got these lovely barn doors as well.
Lovely. Great.
Yeah, so there used to be a crane attachment in here, so you could load things in and out. If you're scared of heights, don't look now. Yeah, so it was for loading and unloading, but not all of the original features have been left in, unfortunately.
Paula has said in the chat that it's lovely to see an industrial space being used for industry, which definitely true.
Yeah, definitely agree with that. I think it would be a shame if these buildings were converted into, you know, like apartments and things like that. It's really great that with our little crafty business that we can work in somewhere that's, you know, suitable for what we do. If I spill dye on the floor, nobody's gonna have kittens over it. And yeah, and there are other businesses around that are doing interesting things as well. So underneath us is a classic car restoration workshop, so we always go and have a nose and see what lovely things they have. Right, so this is one of the smaller rooms. So we've got some enclosed rooms which are thankfully insulated. So there's not much happening in here at the moment, but we're just setting it up as, well, I'm using it as a studio space for my own entertainment, but we'll be setting it up as a teaching space for when we open up to do workshops and things like that again. And then I'll just give you a quick squiz around the shop, but we can have a proper look at that in a bit. So this is our shop space.
Ooh. So many colours.
Rainbow wall of wonder. So yeah, really, really lovely light in here. Sock machine is on that table. And yeah, and through there you can see my eldest child. There's an office through there, but I won't show you the mess that is that room. Yeah, so we have this big dye table. At the moment we have 8 hobs on there, so we can have 8 batches on at a time.
And someone has actually also asked where you get your big dye pots from. So do you have like a standard supplier, or where do you pick up these dye pots?
Do you mean those really big ones that I showed you, or I
think that's when the question came through, is the really big, the large ones.
Right, well, we actually can't get them anymore at the moment. We got them through a brewing supplier, but he gets them from Europe.
Right.
And Brexit has made that a lot more difficult. So yeah, we can't actually get them at the moment, which is quite a pain because we would like to get some more. We'll figure something out, I'm sure. The smaller ones come from a standard kitchen shop.
Stock pots.
They're just stock pots.
Very big stock pots. Yeah. Okay.
They are like the largest ones you can get, but yeah.
And what brand of hob? It's all the technical questions. We've had so many people asking very technical questions. It was the same with Lola yesterday. It's great. So is there a specific brand of hob that you prefer to use?
Well, all of these come from IKEA. They do, you know, IKEA do a lot of these kind of standalone kitchen type setups for small flats and like student accommodation and stuff like that. So they do these standalone induction hobs. So handy. They're really handy. We used to do all the dyeing on the boat, and then we were doing it on the gas hob in the kitchen on the boat. And when we moved here, we had to switch to something electrical. And yeah, found those. They're great.
High-tech tool.
Very high-tech tool, the wooden spoon. This one's got a smiley face on it, look.
Oh.
There we go. But actually my favourite one, hold up the favourite one. This is painted all boaty. This is traditional canal art on this one, so but I use it for dyeing yarn. Right, okay, I'll try and talk you through what he's doing. So he's dyeing one of our variegated colourways. This one is called Stealing Strawberries. It's inspired by a William Morris print. So the way that we do these variegated skeins is by layering up the colours one at a time. As you can see, he's untwisting. So these have just had a green layer. And he's untwisting and then retwisting the yarn ready to go in for another dip. So what's going to happen there is the next colour is going to layer up on top of the green and blue that's been on there.
You put them in when they're twisted.
We put them in twisted.
That's really cool.
Okay. We've got lots of people saying in the chat that just this colour they already are is amazing. And I would have to echo that. They look beautiful just on this first go round.
Got another 2 layers.
It's got 2 more layers to go on this one.
Can't wait.
Yeah, it does look nice how it is at the moment. However, it's going to look even better. You'll have to trust me on that. This is completely sold out, this colourway, so I can't show you right now what it'll look like when it's finished. Right, I'll just show you what he's up to now.
Is it wet, that yarn then, Becky?
Yeah, that's wet. So that's why we use this spoon and hook arrangement for twisting it up, because you just can't skein it back up by hand like you would with a dry skein. So we do everything from like recipes. I have spreadsheets full of recipes and I make them so that I can, you know, type in the number of skeins and it'll recalculate everything for me if I need to do a different number of skeins to what I'm normally doing. But typically we dye in batches of 10. So Markus is just weighing out, should be 1 gram. Let's see how accurate he is. Oh, look at that. 1 point. You might not be able to see actually.
No.
I can tell you it's 1.000.
That's the German way of doing things, I'm afraid.
It's wonderful having a German around the place, let me tell you. Right, so I know that some dyers like to mix up dye stock and then keep a liquid dye stock on hand, but we tend to just weigh out everything. We're doing big enough batches that you can, it's still accurate doing it that way. And it means that I don't end up with dye stock that's gone mouldy or anything like that. So we only weigh out the dye that we're actually using.
Someone has just put a note in the chat with the link to what the Stealing Strawberries looks like on your website. So if anyone wants
right, okay. Oh, thank you.
There've been lots of helpful people posting things in the chat for us.
This is great.
It's great. And then someone else also asking where you learned to dye yarn. Sort of, how did it all start for you?
I was one of those ones that did the whole like messing around with food colouring in my kitchen, and I did quite a lot of hand spinning a few years ago, and I had lots of oddments of wool lying around and just started playing with it. And once I decided that I really quite liked it, I tried some you know, proper acid dyes for wool. Yeah, mostly self-taught, but I do have an engineering background, which was a big help. Are you ready to put the yarn in?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So Markus is putting these twisted skeins in now, so you get a little look at what happens.
It looks like yellow.
Yeah, it's a warm yellow. Somebody's asking what the water temp is. Probably around 40 to 50 degrees.
51 degrees.
Markus
52.
with his calibrated finger. So yeah, around 40 to 50 degrees centigrade, because that's been left to cool down since it was since that last layer went on. Are you measuring it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's getting up to around 50.
52, as I said.
Might go higher.
Well, that's actually, it is 52. It's 52.
Yeah. So putting the yarn in at around 40 degrees is good if you want to have a really even colour uptake. But because this is variegated and it's obviously not going to be level all the way over the skein, that's fine. Markus, I've just seen someone say this man is a genius. I agree. So what he's doing here is just giving everything a little stir and making sure that all of the skeins get a look at the dye. What we have to do as well, he's switched on the heat now. What we have to do is periodically come and do this so that the skeins at the bottom don't get, because it's hotter, the dye will strike more quickly at the bottom of the pot there. So we need to make sure that they don't get more dye setting and getting like burnt spots and things on it.
Which base are you dyeing this on?
Oh, right. This is our Nen base, which is a 100% blue face Leicester wool.
Lovely.
Our signature yarn.
Our signature yarn. So during last year, we managed to switch all of our yarns to be spun in the UK, and we switched to everything non-superwash as well.
Great.
Yeah, which we're really pleased about.
So do you prefer doing non-superwash then? What made that switch? Just for anyone kind of curious about the difference who's watching.
Right, so there's like my perspective as a knitter and a crocheter, and then there's my perspective as a dyer, and I suppose they're slightly different. But I mean, the basic reason for the change was that it's more eco-friendly. You know, the wool is going through less processing, less harsh chemicals, all that kind of thing. And then it's interesting as a dyer because a lot of indie dyers seem to have this feeling that that non-superwash yarn is more difficult to dye, or you can't get such saturated colours, but I can tell you it's not true. It just takes a bit longer. Pardon? Yeah, okay, let's take this opportunity to go and have a little look in the shop.
So how long will that soak now, those skeins you've just put on?
How long? That will probably take up to an hour.
Okay.
Until all the dye is exhausted.
And we'll leave it in there until the water goes clear.
Oh my days, look at that.
So there's your evidence that non-superwash wool can take colour really, really well.
Just takes a bit longer.
It takes longer, so you need more patience to dye non-superwash wool.
What is this amazing colour called? This is your new one. I absolutely love it.
Cosmos.
It's called Cosmos. As in, it's named for the flower, but Cosmos is a cool name, so.
Like Excalibur.
Like Excalibur, yeah. Right, so I think somebody just asked if we have DK yarn. So I'll start you off with our DK yarns. So here you can see.
It's ours.
It's John Arbon yarn. So we have, because we're a little yarn shop as well, we stock some other brands, including John Alban. So we have their Devonia yarn. I'll just do a little sweep down there. There we go. But we also buy it from these guys and dye it ourselves. So we call it Lynn, the hand-dyed version, but here you go.
Which is named after the Lynn Valley where most
yeah, so we have a bit of a river theme to our yarn base name, so that's why it's called Lynn.
It's so nice. It looks like with your hand dyed, you've kind of synthesized between the two mill spun colours there.
Yeah, do you know?
They look so nice on the shelf together.
So this is the honest truth. We dyed our own collection of hand dyed shades completely separately and decided to stock Devonia afterwards. And when we got the Devonia in and realised how close it went with our colours, we were a bit gobsmacked, to be honest. They just go so well together.
Absolutely divine.
So that's Devonia and Lynn, and that's the DK weight, and it's a really nice and bouncy. It's a really lovely plump yarn. So that's I've got a knitted swatch here and a crochet swatch here. Got to have crochet swatches, otherwise.
Can you give us a close-up of how that variegated one works up as crochet, please?
This one?
Yeah.
Sorry,
beautiful.
I'm not going to show you very accurate colours, but yeah. So our variegated ones, because of the way that we dye them with that twisty method, you get very sort of blended colours and quite short colour repeats. So you don't get that pooling that you get with some variegated yarns. So that's Devonia and Lynn. We also have a DK weight of our Nen, of our signature yarn. So I'll just give you a little.
Just noticed some yarn butts.
Oh no, not yarn butts. This is our bugbear. If you go to a yarn show and someone has their yarn displayed like this, we get a lot of people take the skein out. And this is probably our fault because the label's on that way. And then they always put it back that way. And we don't like that. We call them yarn butts. We have to go through the shop and sort out all the yarn butts. Right, so that's DK. And that's what we have in DK at the moment, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah. That's the blue face Leicester.
And people might want to know the meterage as well. Do you mind just letting us know the meterage of Nan?
It's 225 meters and 100 gram skein.
And where's that river?
Right, the Nen originates in Northamptonshire. Actually, one of the sources of the Nen is literally down the road from here. But it goes all the way through Peterborough and then out to the Wash. Does the Nen DK plump up as well? Yeah, it does. Probably not quite so much. It's a bit of a smoother yarn, but it is definitely a plump DK. It's got that lovely squish to it that you expect from a DK yarn. When we started RiverKnits, we were doing it all on the boat, and the boat was moored on the Nen. So that's the connection for us. Here is another William Morris inspired colourway, actually, this one, and it is called Morris, and it perfectly matches a chair that I have on the boat. Not that I can show you that now.
Beautiful.
This is very quintessential RiverKnits. We do like our autumnal colours.
They're the best, aren't they? I like them too.
Well, that's obviously why our colours went so well with yours, because we love an autumnal palette. Having said that, we've done some absolute popping spring summer colours recently. So we have the Cosmos, that really bright pink.
And golden hour.
We have golden hour. Yeah.
Love that.
And show them the new green We do lots of green because it's my favourite colour. But we've done this one, it's a bit of a brighter one.
Yeah, that's really lovely. What's that one called?
Are we there yet?
Is that a summer holiday one by any chance?
It's definitely a summer holiday one. Yeah, so some more autumnal colours down there and there. And we have a few naturally dyed skeins at the moment as well, which was good fun.
Yeah.
Some of the colours were foraged from the towpath. Not all of them, though. These ones weren't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, these ones were.
These were. That's
Can we
nettles.
see it?
Nettles.
That's with nettles. This is with dock leaves.
Dock leaf.
Yeah. We do, in normal times, we do dyeing workshops out of here. And we're hoping to introduce the natural dyeing one as well.
Lots of people are just saying that they're loving it. There's Melanie is asking if you've got a permanent mooring or do you tend to move every couple of weeks?
Oh yeah, so we're continuous cruisers, so we move every 2 weeks. Of course, what with lockdown and everything, we had to stay put for a bit, which was really weird, but we're now back into moving all the time.
Is that nice? Do you find that's good, like creatively, to always be getting kind of a fresh sort of?
Yeah, I think I would say it is. Will you show the Beetle Magic pullover? Yes.
I'm not wearing it.
It's here.
Oh, good.
You can hold it up.
This is the lovely pattern by Katie Green. Who
Yeah. Just stay still for a moment. I'm going to zoom in.
last
Right. This particular colour combo has now sold out.
Yeah.
Hasn't it? You can still get the blue, but you can't get pumpkin for a while.
Well, that yarn there, you can get it again.
Is there any difference between dyeing wool prior to spinning to after spinning? Yes. Yeah. You probably heard the phrase dyed in the wool, which is what a lot of John Arbon yarns are, dyed in the wool. So they have the tops dyed before spinning and blending the colours, which produces those wonderful heathered yarns. So let me just show you one of theirs. So here we go. Can you see the differences in colour in this skein that I've got my fingers on? So I can see bits of red and blue in there, but overall purple. Whereas ours is dyed straight onto the yarn afterwards. So obviously there's lots you can do with that, but you can't get this heathered effect unless you do fancy things with the fibre blend where it takes up dye at different rates, but that's a whole other ball game. The other thing you can do, actually, that leads me on quite nicely to our Chimera yarn, which is something a little bit special. So this is not dyed in the finished skein. This is, we have this single ply spun first, which we then dye multicoloured. And then we send it back to the mill to have it twisted, to have it plied.
Such fun.
You've got so many more colours than you used to. They're so fun.
We have 16 colours now, although some of them are sold out and we got to wait for the next spin before we can replenish them. But yeah,
done in the yoke, isn't it?
Yeah. So this is the colour that Katie Green used in the original Beetle Magic. What's the name of the colour next to the bright pink, the darker red? Do you mean this one?
I think that really bright fluoro pink. Oh,
yeah, so it's saying
This
what's
one?
the name of the colour right next to the bright pink, which is here. So I
Well,
think
maybe this one. Golden or what?
no, dark red,
Oh, dark
which
red.
is it's Feisty Fox. If I've got that right, just let me know if I haven't. So we have our shades and we also have Lola's shades. We did a little swap there, so we've all got all the hand-dyed shades, which was lots of fun. So this one here is the plummy purpley one. Is called Excalibur, and here we have a knit swatch.
So lovely.
And a crochet swatch. So you can see the colours work up similar, but a bit different. So it is good to show both. But hopefully you can see that it works up quite nicely with that blended appearance without kind of harsh pooling.
It's super, super nice. They're always so like soft and sort of mottled in a way that some, yeah, I guess like you say, no pooling.
Yeah, you can get them to pool every now and then, but generally they don't. Yeah, they have sort of like watercolor appearance to them, I think. So this is the other one. This is Avalon. So it's ranges between a really deep teal and a pale turquoise, and then it has these little pops of coral in it, which was a color combination that I'd been rattling around in my brain for ages, and then suddenly I thought, oh, I know, I'll try it on Appledore.
It does look great. So could you just let us know, back to how you were dyeing up earlier, how many different over dyes of both of those shades to get those two colors? What was your process?
Yeah, okay, so Avalon is 2 layers. So we start with the coral layer, and it's funny because when you first pull the skeins out of the pot, it looks quite like it has a lot of coral on it, but then when you twist it up again and pop it back in and put this really strong teal green on it, I might be able to show you here. Can you see where some of it's dyed over the top?
Oh yeah.
Of the coral. So some of the coral is left peeking out and some of it gets dyed over, which actually creates these really nice kind of more muted, more subtle colours in there. Yeah, so that was that one. And then Excalibur was also, do you know what, sorry, I'm just going to sit down. Hello everybody. Oh, my arms are getting tired of walking around with the iPad. But yeah, so this one was actually also dyed with only 2 layers, but still got all of these colours in it. So I'll just explain that a little bit. So the first layer on this is that orange that you can see. It might be easier to show you in the skein. So this orange, okay, and it's actually a really bright orange. Hang on. Yeah, so that's the first layer, and then the second layer.
So it's just those two?
It's just these 2 colours.
Leave myself looking at it.
So I'll just explain what happens then. So I wonder if I could show you with the wall a little bit. No, I won't make it too complicated. Okay. I know that when I mix these 2 colours together, I'm going to get brown and plum, you know, really warm browny purples. This has got a bit of blue or turquoise in it, and that's going to directly offset this bright orange. It's going to knock it back and really deepen that colour, and also make it darker. And the other thing that's a little bit magic, because it's not a superwash yarn, and because that means that the dye takes longer to set, especially the turquoise component of, so everything that we do, we mix from primary colour dyes. So the purple is mixed from a turquoise, a magenta and a black. Turquoise takes a long time to strike and to bond with fibre because it's a very big molecule, so it takes a lot longer to find a site that it fits in nicely. So what happens when we dye this colourway is that the magenta and the black component of the purple will set quite quickly, and then the turquoise goes for a little wander all over, and So it actually spreads further through that twisted up skein, and that's why I've got these little lovely oil slicky turquoises and greens in there. That's where the turquoise has met the yellow component of the orange.
That's really cool, isn't it?
So sorry, that was a really long explanation, but that's what's going on there, and that's why I only need 2 layers of colour to actually get a lot of colours in the skein. But that kind of comes with a lot of experience and playing around, knowing that will happen, and that wouldn't happen on a superwash yarn.
No, because
the colour would strike much more quickly.
I would say it's magic, but actually it's science, so it's even better.
So we can say it's both, that's fine.
We've also had way back at the beginning, we had someone ask how long it takes you to develop a new colour. So maybe you could pick maybe like 2 or 3 of your favourite colours, or ones that have particular stories to you from your main range, and just kind of tell us about them and how you came up with them. And
okay, so this one is one that Marcus picked out. It's called On the Cut. The cut is a colloquial term for the canal. So this is supposed to be the sky blue and then the brown water of the canal, and some white fluffy clouds as well. So it's a relatively simple colourway, where the blue and the brown meet, because of that way that we twist up the skeins when we dye them, get some lovely sort of murky greens in there as well. I wouldn't say that took very long to develop.
Really long, actually.
Really long.
Yeah.
It's little things like, I think the longer you dye and get used to colour, the quicker it is to develop. And of course we have that entire rainbow wall. So I have a wall of samples. So I'm like, I want a colour that is close to something that I've got, then I can just quite quickly work out something that's close to it.
47.
Okay. This is a much earlier colourway. It's called Giant Squirrel. It's been a very popular one ever since we've done it. That took me a couple of goes to develop the colourway. I had some very specific colours in mind that I wanted. This is actually based on a creature called it's a giant squirrel. Indian giant squirrel.
Yeah.
And so that was harder because of the way that we dye with the layering up of colours. I have to plan ahead. It's like, this is the final colour I want, but I can't put that on straight away. I need to build it up with the layers. So that's more complicated, and I don't always get the result that I want first time. And then we have other things which are just things like this copper colour. It might not look all that complicated, but the just knowing how to get the exact shade that I want at the right saturation, that all has come with a lot of sampling and lots of trial and error.
Faye,
so yeah,
the link so people can have a look at what an Indian giant squirrel looks like.
It's a really marvelous creature. It really is. I couldn't believe it was real when I first saw it.
Yeah. We thought somebody made it up, didn't we? Yeah. Yeah,
we actually had a customer get in touch and say, can you dye something in these colours? And so we did, and then we carried on dyeing it.
And Roselle says the pansy and nectarine colourways caught her attention online. Do you have any made up? Or
nectarine we do.
Yeah. Or pansy.
Oh, do you mean Stiefmütterchen, the little pansy? Yeah, a lot of our colourway names are in German. We have those both in stock.
Oh, look, we've got everyone coming in now. Someone wants to see Kingfisher next to Laguna as well.
Kingfisher.
And then a couple of people have also asked, what's your favorite dye brand? Do you have a particular one, or is that a trade secret? In which case,
Trade secret.
Markus says trade secret. But they're acid dyes.
Yeah.
You know, professional grade acid dyes.
We get them in big buckets.
We get them in big tubs.
Would you get the same effects using natural dyes when you were talking about the 2 layers and how fast it strikes?
Oh no.
A lot harder to do.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, potentially. It's a lot harder to control the outcome with natural dyes. Natural dyeing is much more kind of play around and see what you get out the other end. I mean, obviously you know what plants are going to produce what results and what you can do to modify the colours, but you can't weigh them out to like fractions of grams like we can with our acid dyes.
You also don't know how strong they'll be from plants as well, I guess, or
no, that's exactly it. So you can work with fresh plant material, and you obviously don't know the strength of that, and you can work from dried plant material. You might have a better idea, but still you're not going to know for sure. And you know, the conditions that it's grown in and all that sort of thing can have an impact on the colour. So that's a real art, I would say.
Helena, do you want to ask?
Oh yes, thank you, and sorry for not showing my face. It's my no working day. I don't look great. I'm sorry about that, but I'm enjoying this so much. Just a quick question. I think someone else has mentioned you have a little advice on how to protect the lovely wool. I love non-superwash, and I have, you know, I'm building quite a library there of things, but I think someone else asked the same question. Do you have advice on how we can protect it using natural sources rather than, you know, the anti-moth that you can buy off shelves in the supermarket?
So how to protect your things from moth? Like your finished items or your wool?
I would say the stash.
Yeah. Okay. I tell you what, Faye, who was on earlier, I think probably had a good blog post on how to protect from moths. But I mean, for me, with my stuff, what I do is keep it in a in an airtight container so that they just can't get in. But if you're worried that you already have moths, then you need to do things like deep freezing and thawing and freezing. And then also you want to probably have things to prevent moths. So here in the studio we have I don't know if you've seen those little cedar things. So we have lots of these just in those yarn shells. Moths don't like cedar. But we also have moth traps. They're pheromone traps. So that catches, I can't remember if it's the male or the female. But the male. So it has the female pheromone on the trap. It's just a bit of sticky paper, really. So the males get stuck to it, and then they can't mate with the females. But it's a good alert system. It will tell you if you've got a problem. What you do then, you probably, if you are catching lots of moths on your traps, then you probably need to take further action. But yeah, there is a lot of information.
I use online. Lavender quite a lot. I don't know if it's
that's good.
Also moths really like to be in dark, quiet spaces. So like here we don't actually have a big worry because it's very light in here. Also, the yarn is being constantly taken off the shelves and being replenished, and that it's not actually sitting there for a long time. If we shut the door and turned off the lights and ignored it, then we would, that would be much more risky. But like with your woolen garments and things, if you store them over the summer, actually probably a good idea to get them out now and then. Shake them around a bit and then
just play with them, maybe play with the yarn
just stroke them.
Hang them in the sunlight.
Thank you so much. It's been so interesting. Thank you for everyone at John Hub, and this has been really, really great. I mean, you have there's been a few events around, and attended a few recently, but this has been really special. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank
I'll echo that as well. It's been really, really lovely being part of this event and having the opportunity to dye that yarn as well. It's been really, really special. So have we got time to play some music?
I reckon.
Yeah.
Sorry we didn't get to everyone's questions. There were just so many. And there's also so many people just echoing that they've absolutely loved it. So thank you to both of you again. And yeah, we're looking forward to hearing you play.
So shall we do the new tune? Yeah? Okay, so well, this is actually a tune that I wrote. I don't do that very often. We play a lot of traditional folk tunes, you know, like stuff that you would hear at a ceilidh or a barn dance. This is really one for a lazy, sunny afternoon.
Yeah. The gin tonic or beer in the hand.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So I hope you enjoy it. It's called Flint Hill, which is where we were moored up when I wrote the tune.
Thank you. Amazing.
Thank you.
How long have you both been playing together?
Oh, it's how we met.
Is it?
Yeah.
Are you all right to tell us about it quickly before we have to dash off?
Yeah, sure. We both played folk music, and our eyes met across the room of the pub session. And actually, so I played violin at the time, and Markus was much better than me. and he used to play these beautiful, beautiful tunes in the pub. So what I would do is ask him what it's called and then go away and learn it in the week before the next session. And then the session that we went to, it used to go like round the circle, and when it got to your turn, I'd make sure I was sitting before Markus so that I could play his tune, so he couldn't. But yeah, that's how we met, was playing music, and that was 7-8 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much again.
Well, thank you for having us.
Thank you so much for having us, and thank you for all the really interesting questions from everybody.
Grand. Thanks.
I have to grab a beer now.
Yes.
Beer o'clock.
All right, cool. We'll see you in a bit.
Bye.